Huge honor. I get it. Huge honor.
Hello everybody, I'm Huge Honor, and it's a huge honor to show you the dynamic breakables mod today. As you can see, this mod will make any item that's not already a breakable or a bow, because unfortunately it doesn't work with bows, a breakable. And it's dynamic, so it happens wherever you actually hit them. And it keeps like the damages and the handles, but only on the side that it would make sense. Yeah, that's basically the mod. There's some things I would like to share with you to explain how things work and what works, what doesn't work, the settings and all of that. So stay tuned. So first of all, it doesn't work with every weapon. So this is the sword and stone mod that I made, and I made it, the mesh that I am using here is not readable. This is not something you can actually look up. This is something that the modders have to do. But because it's not readable, I can't actually do anything with this mod. So this won't ever break. But don't worry if that is the case. Maybe message the modders whose weapon it is, and they can just change that in the Unity editor, and then it should work. The other thing is that if we look at this antique sword here, for example, you can only break something once. That is a technical limitation at the moment with the way I'm doing things, because I need to calculate the colliders and everything, and as soon as I have to slice them multiple times, it gets a bit messy. I did include in the settings an experimental option where if you enable that, let me grab another one. So as you can see, it will continue to break. The issue with that is, let me try and grab that. The reason why it's experimental is because visually it looks fine, but the colliders, they will not 100% line up. Maybe I can fix this in the future, but for now it's an experimental feature. Then you also have the option to completely disable the mod. I realized that sometimes you might not want to have everything completely break when you fight, and so you can just switch that off really neatly here. And the next thing to know is that materials matter. So I can't break a blade on wood. It doesn't really make sense that a softer material can break a harder one. I can maybe put the hierarchy in the mod in the mod description, but basically if you think something's harder, then it will break your item. If it's softer, it won't. So for example, wood, that wouldn't work, but for stone, for example, that should work. If we have two of the same type, they can break each other as well. So that's why we can have nice fights and we break each other's blades. Then what else? Yeah, and then basically it's very important that you dial in the settings for your liking, because if it breaks too easily, it's no fun. If it breaks too much, it's also no fun. Or maybe you like it easily broken. This is why you have these settings. And they are basically the same that you have for base game breakables. So if you've made a mod that is like a breakable item, you will be familiar with this and you know what these things mean. They all have tooltips, which you can't see right now, probably because I'm recording in the player view. But yeah, you should be able to read the tooltips here to understand what they're doing. But I'm going over the most important ones. So for example, base hits until break. So I set it to 5. Please change these to your liking. I'm not familiar with how to balance things correctly. And the way it works is if you look at a weapon and then go in info, you see it has a tier. And tier 1 means it will take 5 hits, and the hits, how hard they have to be, you can define that here, before it breaks. If I have something that is a tier 2 weapon, it would take 10. So it multiplies the tier by the base hits here. And then you can change some things here. There's also a can instantaneously break. If you enable this, if you hit it hard enough, so harder than this value here, then it will immediately break, and it doesn't even need to go through all of those different hits. And this might be fun if you want to slice arrows in half. You might want to set this to a value, but I just find things break too easily if I have this enabled, and if I make it too hard, then it will never happen anyways. And yeah, there's loads of different features. Like I said, the recursive breaking is if you wanted to break multiple times, but then you might have the issue that the colliders don't line up properly. Yeah, that's basically it. I can just have a quick play around how this looks like when you're fighting people. It's really fun, but I also understand if it gets annoying, you can always turn it off. So this is a tier 2 weapon, so it should take me 10 hits. Don't know if you've been counting, I've lost count. I'll just keep whacking him. And I think that something came off there, as you can see. This is his tip of the sword there. Let's get rid of him because his won't break anymore. So if we just like have a good fight with her. There we go, I broke her sword, and now good luck fighting against someone with the long sword. And as you can see, that was definitely more than the... I think that one is the tier 3 weapon. It was definitely less than 15 hits, so I think I would just hit really hard. So perhaps I would turn that off because I'm not a big fan of instantaneous break-in. Yeah, it's pretty fun. What's also cool, if you take a broken weapon, they still work like normal weapons, and that feels really good. And everything like imbuing should work. Sometimes you see the imbue effect last longer than the weapon is, and that is because the imbue mesh wasn't readable. And yeah, that is unfortunately how it is sometimes. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this mod, and as always, it was a huge honor.